elevated. Now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Graduated, elevated. Now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Major moves, power moves. Take it to the top one time non-stop. Gotta go, gotta flow. Take it to the...
Hello and welcome to PhD Hard Talk. Braj Prasad, could you please introduce yourself, your university, what you're studying, and the publications that we discussed today?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a nice platform to talk about something what we do, let's say.
Thank you.
Well, I will not go really back. I will just say that currently I am working as a research associate or research assistant. You can call it in Magdeburg. It's Otto-von-Guericke-University, Magdeburg in Germany. People who don't know where Magdeburg is, it's very near to Berlin, let's say. Many people don't know where Magdeburg is, even in Germany, sometimes it happens.
I don't know where it is.
It's very near to Berlin. That's why I always introduce like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, my background in bachelor and master was mechanical engineering, specialized in applied mechanics and numerical mathematics. And my research is mainly concerned with NVH solution, let's say, how we can reduce the sound and vibration from different mechanical structure by using different means. And my aim was always using a particle damping concept. We will explore it, what exactly it is later on. But it's a damping concept, passive damping concept, which I have applied almost, I worked, let's say, 3 to 4 years in this concept and applied in the wind turbine. And now the project is ended. And now I'm working how we can transform the same concept, which I applied in the wind turbine, to the electromobility. So this is the transition. So I have shifted my idea from wind turbine to electromobility. But at the end of the day, research remains the same. Mechanical structure is a structure for me.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the profound introduction. So I guess the first question that I want to ask is, why apply for a PhD program?
That's a different thing because that's I always say that in Germany, you don't apply for PhD. There are courses, there are people who are coming from international, let's say from Asia or Europe or US. They come and they are looking for a PhD. For me, it was never like that. I studied here, bachelor and master, and I wanted to go in a research. And when you go in a research, you never know whether you will complete a PhD or not. The same thing is like, it's like, I'm enjoying it, let's do it. If we can do it, PhD, why not? Because at the end of the day, the time when I applied for the project in this university, it was combined project with the government, with the industry, and with couple of research institute also. And I said it's a good thing because I don't wanted to switch directly to industry after my university. There was something left. I thought, yeah, okay, you did bachelor and master, but there is something missing. It's not enough. I'm missing something. I need to know more. And that was a good project, like building a bridge between a fundamental research and the industrial application. So I said yes. And it took me actually 3 years to think that I should write a PhD. I was not at all I was not in a mood whether I should say yes or no. Professor never say here. Like in German university, professor will never say you whether you want to do PhD or not. They are always asked whether you want to do research or not. And when you have enough result at the end of the day, you can write, it's your choice. So in my case, the PhD was always like a part-time job. Main thing was doing the research. And if it is a good result, you can write a PhD. So that was entire idea, like doing research.
Love it. Love it. Didn't know that. So that's news to me. And I guess the question that I will ask, which I always get, which is people want to migrate, like you said, to Europe, to the US, for example, and they ask, should I do self-funded or scholarship? Just to follow on from what you've said, what would you say, and what was your decision making? Because I'm not sure if you're on a scholarship or you're self-funding.
Here is like self-funding is no way. University doesn't allow it because of insurance. Everything happens. It can be a administrative problem. So you cannot be self-funded. And there are scholarship, no doubt. But normally people who have been in, let's say, in general, there are different type of research conducted by the German university. For me, it's like I'm an employee of the university. I will get a normal salary. There is insurance, there is health insurance, and everything is included like a normal employee anywhere in the world. So we are especially like a German government employee. We are in a public domain. The thing is that we don't get the permanent contract. Of course, you don't get a permanent contract. You are an employee, you get all the benefit, you can conduct the research. That's it. But there are scholarship given by DAAD or something, and there are people who come on that scholarship, but then they are treated like a PhD students because their main aim is to complete PhD. There are people who will supervise them properly. In our case, we are the one who took the decision, so we are the here to give the result. So supervision is something completely different in our cases. In my case, for example.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in your opinion then, would you advise all of us to say go to Germany because you would be an employment, so you're getting the career experience and other opportunities as well, or do you think actually stay where you are, that works? What are your thoughts?
I think it's always good to go out from your comfort zone. Doesn't matter which part of the world you live. If you are living in US, go to Europe, go to Asia, explore it. The thing is, I cannot comment on the other countries because I don't know. Maybe in Switzerland, I know in Scandinavian country, they have a very similar structure of doing PhD, doing research, like Germany. In US, I have no idea, but as far as I know, they are like given a scholarship and there is a complete supervision depending what kind of professor you have. Same goes in Asia, for example, also. But for me, I always say that it's very difficult for me to adjust in a system where professor is like a boss. Always, of course, he's a boss, but in Germany, it's a very different culture, which I really love. And for me, nobody call here you a PhD student, first of all. No, nobody call you a PhD student. You are working. So
Yeah.
it depends on you. If you want to do a PhD, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But we are working in the university. We are completing some particular project. So I will definitely suggest someone, if you want to come to Germany, explore it. But it's not everyone cup of tea. I can understand if you're coming from a different culture, let's say from Asia, where you're used to follow the guidance of your supervisor, that will be very difficult. Those persons will find a lot of difficulty in Germany, but they will get used to. Of course, it will take. I have seen many of international students having difficulty waiting for the supervisor instruction. I say, if you will wait, it will be 3 years, and at the end of the day, when he is going to say something, it's really then over because he is expecting, he gave you a job. It's your responsibility to complete it. How you will complete it, it's in your hand. You can ask for the guidance, you can conduct the meeting, but he's not going to give you solution. You are intelligent enough to solve the problem. Of course, you can go for the meetings, you can discuss with your colleagues, with your supervisor. It's like a team working. Nobody can give you a solution. They can give you the ideas. Either you can take it or leave it. Depends on your. So at the end of the day, you feel very free in this country doing research.
So basically, what you're saying in a nutshell is that if I was to take what you've just said, like to a different country, let's say the UK, is that we need to be solution based and not wait for our supervisors to come in and knock on the door and say, hey, by the way, do this, that. You have to be proactive. Essentially, that's the culture there.
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that?
You have to act it because if the boss has to involve, then why you are getting paid? you have a master degree, you should solve the problem. Of course, in research, there is always, you will every day find a deadline, and for there are a team, and you can talk to them. And it should not always be the professor, because maybe it happens that after a while, a professor cannot give you a better idea. Maybe other who is working on that field can give you a better idea. So, it's not always like whatever professor says is always right or wrong. It's about how much you have involved yourself in the thing. And sometimes it happens like, professor can give you idea and you apply it and you say, no, it's better not to ask. So it's all kind of scenarios. It's really a team play. There are postdocs, there are even in the lab, there are people who work, help you. Like my work is completely experimental. So when it goes how the experiments work, I will not go to the professor. I will go in the lab and ask the people who do the handwork. They know much better than me, and they will give me better solution. So you should always look where you can a right person to discuss a particular thing. But of course, they're all. I mean, my experience is there that whenever I need someone, professor is there, my colleagues are there, and in the lab, guys are always there. So I didn't face any problem. Let's say I'm in 5 years almost in research now, and I'm always happy with my colleagues, my team. Maybe I'm lucky.
Maybe you are. And also, I think the key here that you've just stated is that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, sure.
But in the right place, essentially.
Of course. I mean, why to wait? Like if I'm using some commercial software and if someone had worked on the software, why I should waste the time to rediscover it, because I am not discovering something new. The guy knows who's sitting beside me much better than me, so he will help me and I will solve the problem in 5 minutes. Why to waste a day on that?
That is true. But do you know what? Some of us, we like to challenge ourselves and to go out there and learn, because you
It's,
want that skill essentially under your belt.
yeah, it's good, but it depends on what you are developing. Like, for example, let's say if I am struggling to make the prototype of my experiment on my own and doing drilling and milling and everything in the lab on my own, then it's a useless thing. I can do it. It's good. You have learned it, but does it scientific that it does it brought you scientific further? No. As a scientist, you have to bring the ideas and somehow you have to convert that idea in the reality. And if you start doing everything in a small, if you do the micromanagement, you will never come further in 3 to 4 years. So you have to find someone who knows better than you in that field, then definitely will help you and make your life easier so you can concentrate more on the scientific area than on the other area. It's my opinion, let's say. I always work like that.
So do you know what, your opinion? I had Doctoral Fridays with Professor Glenn Parker, and he said, as scientists, I don't know if you would agree, just from what you've said, that we, or PhDs or doctoral students, whatever we want to call ourselves, we are actually entrepreneurs, and that our job or our reality is to convince the masses that it works, essentially. Following on from what you've said, would you agree with that statement?
Definitely, I think that's how it should be. And I have seen a lot of my friends and colleagues, they love to fight alone and they do it, but it's not everyone cup of tea. Like even from the scratch till the end, they have done everything on their own and they love it. If you love it, do it. But I've seen people who love to do it, but still cry later. So don't cry then. If you have chosen that way to do that, either you can like, I've seen complaining a lot of people. I know it's tough. It's not easy. If I have chosen to go in the research, then be ready to get frustrated every day because you have every day a deadline, but you should enjoy it. If you're not enjoying that phase, of course, you cannot enjoy all the phase. Sometimes it comes and you like need your own time. But I've seen people like they don't want to write. Then why you came in the research? Because in the research, there are a lot of writing. In the university, basically, let's say you have to document. If you have done some development, you have to do the documentation. You should love it doing it. So I have never understood why people complain about writing. I know it's tough. I do it and it's very tough to start. But once you start, you get a flow, let's say. So I always say if you don't love writing, if you are getting a deadline, let's say dead end, and you are frustrated, then I think research is not for you. Because there you should enjoy all the phases. You need to have a thick skin. I always say that being a politician and being a scientist, you need a thick skin. Otherwise, you will not survive.
No, you won't. You have to swim with the sharks, like literally. In a nutshell, right? So, we've digressed. We haven't touched on your research yet. So I think that the last question, I would say, why Germany? Did you relocate to Germany? What was the excitement behind it? Because you said you did your master's there and your BA. Just going back to your responses, I want to cover everything.
When I completed my schooling in India, there was a premier institute in India called IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. I didn't clear that exam. I wanted to go there. Of course, I didn't allow it because I didn't clear the exam. So I thought, okay, if not IIT, then somewhere outside India. Because somehow I was very naive at that time. And I thought if you are not studying in IIT, you are not good an engineer, which was really a bad thought at that time. But I was, let's say, 16 and 17-year-old. So you cannot expect a very mature decision at that time. And then I was looking outside India. Of course, US was the first choice. And they have rejected me like, yeah, you are not good enough. And I was not good enough. I accept that. At that time, it hurt.
Sorry for laughing.
No, but that's good. I applied everywhere. I applied to Australia, New Zealand, US for sure, France, Japan, Russia. And I was applying everywhere. Somewhere I was getting admission, but finances was not there. And then somehow it came an idea on the newspaper. I was studying Germany free of cost. That's what attracted me. Free of cost education in Germany for everyone. Only the condition that I have to learn German. And then I said, it's not a bad idea. I can learn German. Why not? I mean, English was never my first language. English is not the language in India. I speak Hindi at my home and with my friends. So I thought if I can speak in English, I can speak also in German. Why not? So I just applied and I came and I learned language first of all. 3 years, 1 year I learned German in India, and then I came here and I learned again language of 1 year, and then I gone for a student colleague, which is known as a preparatory exams for the international students who have did their schooling outside Germany.
Right.
So you have to do the 1 year thing, 2 semesters, same thing what you did in your schooling, but in German language. So you can get the technical German also. And then you write an exam and the schooling exam of your country, and this exam will be 50-50%, and the marks will be given out, and then you can apply normally in any German university. So this is how I began, and then I studied a bachelor and master. So the first thing was free of cost, and the second thing was that whenever I studied in schooling, most of the scientists were from Germany, whether like Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Röntgen, name 1,000 mathematicians and everyone. That also attracted me, no doubt. But at that time, only two things were in my mind, that I'm going to Germany. First of all, German universities are known. I mean, even in the history. Of course, right now you cannot compete with MIT or Stanford, but of course they are private funded. German universities are government funded, so it's a different league. But that was the idea why I came to Germany. I've struggled a lot, but as I say, if you learn the language and if you understand the system, you'll love it. And I never complain. I mean, I'm happy. I have not gone to US for my bachelor and master, saved a lot of money, learned a lot. But of course, definitely, if I get a chance, I would love to do research in those countries also. But I'm very happy to my decision, what I made at that time. The reason was not very, let's say, mature, but still, like somehow I came at the age of 18 or 19 in Germany.
That's destiny.
Yeah.
And do you know what, you've just raised a point. I spoke to someone previously about this rating of universities, to say, oh, this is red brick, they're this, they're that. Do you think actually it has any value now that you've been in university, you will say close to 10 years now, would you say actually, it doesn't matter if there's a university, just go in there, it's only a paper, it's the experience, or, what are your thoughts with that?
I don't believe in ranking. I never believed in ranking. And speaking truly, I'm a bit revolted in this matter. When someone, even in India, when someone says it's a ranking, I hate it. Because why? I mean, if you have studied in, for example, Stanford, doesn't mean you're brilliant. You can be also idiot. So I'm not judging everyone, but university doesn't define you. You define the university. So Albert Einstein, Switzerland has not defined, or Germany has not defined, or America has not defined Albert Einstein. He has defined wherever he has gone. University got the name because Albert Einstein was a part of that. So there are many students who studied with Albert Einstein, but not everyone became like even the Richard Feynman, for example. So you cannot judge university. Of course, what you have see that every university has a good and bad professors. And bad professor doesn't mean that they are bad in their research, because doing research and teaching is two complete different things for me. You can be damn good in your research. You are really, of course, you are a professor, so you know what you are doing. You have talent, no doubt. But teaching is a different scenario. You have to convince the thing. So I have seen many brilliant professors who hate taking lectures, but they have to do because it's a university system. Now the question comes, how you define the ranking? They're like, if you say the number of publications, does that define it's a bad idea? Like I have seen so many publications which I will throw in dustbin. So I am very provocative when I say like that how, even like when I get couple of times I get to let's say to review the paper, and I always say, how even if they got to publish it, I mean, how even they think they can publish it? Because sometimes you have to be critical on your own work. I'm not saying that my work is good. I'm not saying that I'm the best or my work is good, but it's always good to be critical on your own work. And if you have the stress to publish all the time, then you will never get a good quality of the work. Of course, there should be a deadline, there should be a publication and everything, but that should not be the criteria. So all this ranking system, I mean, if there is no ranking system, Stanford will be Stanford, TU Munich will be TU Munich. In Japan, the Tokyo University will be a Tokyo University. Nothing will change in their prestige. So whether it's number 1 or 10 doesn't matter to me.
No, I do love your response, and it's similar to Darragh O'Leary, who came on. He said something similar because, as you know, that life is not equal. We have students who are coming from poor backgrounds, essentially, And, you know, the scholarship as well is like a rat race to get one. And then if you're self-funding, the stress alone will drive you mad. So, you know, it doesn't matter where you end up, essentially, as long as you can produce and it's good quality. And you are right in saying teaching and publications are separate. Like, you know, before we came on here, I was saying some people are confident speakers, some people they're not. So, you know, it's debatable, but it makes sense. Now to your research then. The wind turbines. Tell me what excited you. I can see the wind turbines behind you about, you know, looking into wind turbines, because to me, I just think they're big. They can look pretty, but that's where I stop because it's not my field.
No, it was not the wind turbine. It was like the dynamics. My field is mechanics, and my work is to reduce vibration and sound from a mechanical structure. And for me, wind turbine is just a mechanical structure. Same like electric car and same like any ship or any mechanical structure. What interests me is that because there are a lot of challenges. Some wind turbines are really loud. And you can hear it and it can be irritating. And the challenge is that when I talk about, there are different ways to reduce, let's say, the vibration and sound emission. One is active, one is passive, and one is active and passive. Active is bit, I mean, they do really good reduction in the vibration, but the problem is that to maintenance is very tough because they have a lot of circuits or a lot of mechatronics are there and all those stuff. I'm not going in that technicality, but the passive is the good thing because you don't need to invest a lot of money in the maintenance. If you had made it in a structure, it will remain there. The problem with the passive damping is that it only works in the higher frequency range. And my area is with the particle damper. And the particle damper sounds very easy. People have seen everywhere. But many thought to apply it, many thought not to apply it. The thing is that you take a box, fill it with a granular material, any like sand and rubber particle, anything, and fix that partially filled box on a vibrating structure. And what happens when the structure vibrates, that the kinetic energy will go in the material, granular material, and the material will collide with each other and with the cavity wall. And because of that collision, there will be a deformation taking place. And that deformation, we call it viscoelastic deformation. And there is also a friction and like rolling friction, and all those frictions are there. So due to that friction and due to that deformation taking place in the granular material, the kinetic energy will get dissipated. And this is how the reduction will take place. And this is how I got interested in the topic. Like it's a very interesting and a very non-linear phenomena. And when I talk non-linear, it's very complicated. Whenever we talk non-linear, things become complicated because you cannot predict it very easily. If it's linear, you can predict the thing, but non-linear predictability is a bit challenging. And there is no I mean, there have been simulation done, but a bit challenging. This is how I got interested and invested my 3 years in that research, and totally experimental, getting a lot of, let's say, dead end. But over a beer with my professors, always got the good idea. I always say, if you have a beer, you have a good ideas. So, and that's the fun part of working in Germany. Because the good talks, brainstorming always happen with the professor when you are having a beer. That's why I love conferences, because you can talk in the serious talk, you never get it. You're driving a car, you're going in a conference, you're having a beer, and you will get a best idea there. And this is how the idea came, also the solution of in my research, for example. But yeah, the particular back to your answer is that the wind turbine was not the focus. The focus was how I can implement the passive damping technology in wind turbine. And we have successfully implemented that also in wind turbine. For sure, that's why the project ended successfully. And now I have converted to electric mobility, and it also worked in electric mobility now, which I have presented a couple of 3 days back in a small conference also.
Okay, so going back to the initial project, I think when I was reading through your paper, it mentions that, you know, you realised that the particle dampers, they were dependent on humidity. Could you take us through that? Because I thought that was interesting to me, because I'm like, my house, you know, that might help me. But, you know.
No, particle damping.
You're the expert.
As I said, that particle damping is non-linear. So non-linear means geometrically non-linearity and everything. Let me try to explain that even the people who are not in that field can understand it. So If we have a cavity, cavity can have a different geometry. And the different geometry shape of the cavity can have an influence on the damping efficiency of the particle damper, let's say, first problem. Second problem, the choice of granular material can definitely affect the particle damping efficiency. The third thing is that the excitation frequency can affect it, temperature can affect it, humidity can affect it, and there will be like wear will happen, that can affect it. So I can keep telling the list, and at least 10 to 20 list parameters are there which can affect the damping efficiency of the particle damping parameter. And this is the reason why industry doesn't apply it, because to study all those parameters takes a lot of time, and everything can be done only, unfortunately, experimentally. And that's why I have tested everything. So one of the focus was that I have investigated almost 25 different materials that which can be the better. And of course, when I test the material, then one have to think about how much additional mass you are, because if you put the granular material in a particle, in a structure, it will increase the mass of the structure. Industry doesn't want that. Makes sense. So you have to choose a
I was
material.
going to say the
Yeah,
cost, it's sounding very
definitely.
costly when you're talking to me. That's why I'm like, could you please take us through that? Because I'm thinking, if I'm in industry and you came to me and you said this would work, I'm thinking, right, that's me asking for money from local government because I can't afford it. So why should I go for it?
That's the beauty of particle damper, is it is not costly. It sounds costly, but it is not. The reason is
Okay.
that the whatever the material I have used, and the successful material, the paper is already published, so I can talk on that. And by the way, I love open for, or I always say to the publication that whoever asking a lot of money, because Germany, for example, has till now never came clear with the Elsevier paper. They ask a lot of money and it hurts us. 3,000 euro for a publication open on open access, which is like why? 3,000 euro is too much. That's why I always say that I believe that research
That's a
belongs
lot
to
of money,
everyone.
sorry.
A lot of
I'm
money,
just
yeah.
getting
It's a lot
that's
of
like
money.
nearly £2,500.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And that's why, I mean, I cannot publish. And of course, I can publish on a different, like in hybrid mode, but people will not have access on that if they don't have a license. So if I'm doing research, it should belong to everyone, not should to me. And I am always like, if you do research, it should be in public domain. So all my research, whatever I'm talking here, is in public domain. Anyone can go and read it. So the first focus I did that what kind of material, and I have done extensive, like from steel balls to lead shot to sand, stone powder, and we came, not I is the wrong word because I think it's a teamwork. So we came on an idea, why not we try the rubber granulate, and and those rubber granulate are the recycled rubber granulate from the automotive tire which has lived their life. So it's like if the automotive tire is already lived their life, they are thrown and they cannot burn it. It's environmental friendly, so they recycle it. And when they recycle it, then through particle damper, we can give them another life for 20 years, let's say. So in that matter, it's very cheap. Buying a recycled rubber granulate is, and that after testing 25 different material, we came on an idea, not an idea, and even in the result that the rubber granulate is the best if we want to damp the structure in the low frequency as well as the higher frequency. So that's the first thing. What was the question, by the way? I forgot by talking.
No, I asked the question on particle dampers to say they are
Yeah, right.
dependent on humidity, but you've just explained in terms of the process that you went through, in terms of methodology, to say you went through 25, what would I call
different
them?
materials. Yeah.
Different materials, yes. And you were able to assess, and then you got to tires because they've lived their life, they've been on road. Now it's time for us to get rid of them, but you found a solution so we don't
I always say to
contribute to the emissions.
because when industry asks me, I always say that if like in a mechanical engineer, we always say that we have a model analysis and we have a model or eigenform or vibration form, let's say vibration shape, let's say. People have those. Whenever they design a structure, they have those information with them. So if they have their information, then I always say that, okay, bring that rubber granulate somehow in that position and the structure is damped. So it's not costly. Even the wind turbine, like it cost, if there is a wind turbine of 1 million euro, let's say if they are having a wind turbine of 1 megawatt and investing 1 million euro in creating that. And if they want to reduce the sound and they have to invest, let's say 1,000 euro more and they have the problem solved. Why not? Because rubber granulate is very cheap. It will cost nothing to you for the industry. So I say it's a very easy process. The only thing is that, of course, it was not known. It was known to everyone. It's not like it's not known. The thing is that a lot of parameter study has not been carried out, and a lot of papers had concentrated on other factors, not on the granular material. And the material which they have choose always steel balls, very standard like steel balls, aluminium, and everything metal. They are good. They also damp very good, but on the higher frequency range. But when it comes to acoustic, they can create a problem. For vibration, not, but for acoustic, they can create a problem. But the rubber granulate can also dampen the lower frequency range, as I said, and at the same time, they can also reduce the sound emission, and it's cheap also. So this is how this was actually missing, which we filled with our paper, definitely. And we have also done a design, how you can optimize the design and how you will design those things. And if you have all those information, it's much cheaper and much easier, let's say.